I've been pickling quail eggs.
Episode 5 of Farm to Markets, where we talk about everything from farms to stock markets. Today, we're talking about Robinhood's IPO, the Civilian Climate Corps, and what we are cooking this summer. Robinhood, the online discount brokerage company whose popularity grew considerably during the meme stock craze, is having its IPO today, July 29th, 2021. Drew, why don't you tell us what's going on?
Yeah, so Robinhood, which we all probably know, is the wildly popular trading app that allows investors to buy stocks, cryptocurrencies, options, things like that. They had their IPO last night, and as of market open this morning, you can actually buy shares of their company. So had their IPO last night, and what an IPO is stands for Initial Public Offering. That's when a private company sells shares of its company to investors in an effort to raise money. Typically, IPO shares are sold to big institutions and wealthy investors. Now, IPOs happen all the time. That's not what makes Robinhood interesting. What's interesting about Robinhood's IPO is they offered, I think it was up to 35% of their offering shares to their retail investors. So if you have a Robinhood account, or if you had one last night, you actually could have bought shares of Robinhood pre-trading this morning. This is pretty much in Robinhood fashion. Their mission is to democratize the investment system. So it does raise one question. Just because you can buy an IPO or buy shares IPO, should you? I think we're going to see more and more of this in the future, where companies are allowing the smaller investors to buy these IPOs. I place them in the same category as cryptocurrency or meme stocks or other alternative investments that are risky. They do carry significant risk, and you should proceed with caution.
Alex, what do you think?
Well, I think Drew said a lot, but I think the big thing is this is right up Robinhood's alley. There's to me, there's not any other way they could have done it other than to have individual investors get in on their IPO. You know, after, and Drew used the term democratization, it's exactly what it is. It's making it much easier for individual investors to invest in their company, just in the same way as the big guys did. I think that people do need to remember, just like also Drew was saying, you know, if you're doing cryptocurrencies or day trading, never trade with money you can't afford to lose. But I think this is in general a good thing, and there's going to be a lot more of it. Many different things in society are becoming easier for the individual to get at on their own without having to go through a middleman. And I think this is just another example of another industry that's going to start seeing a lot more individuals be able to do what they want without having to go through some other big player.
I agree with that. Is that I'd also say for Robinhood, it's neat that they allow their current, anybody who's a Robinhood member to buy IPO shares, because those are usually it's pretty rare to buy in shares, or to be able to buy into shares of an IPO. It'll be interesting to see how many of their investors are able to subscribe to future IPOs that aren't of Robinhood, because a lot of times when they're selling those initial shares, they really want to sell them to people who are going to hold them for a while and not just wait for a stock pump and then dump the shares. I mean, they want to sell them to people who are going to have a long-term interest in the company. Aside from that, though, Robinhood is just another brokerage firm swimming around out in the financial ocean. And kind of to Drew's point is that should you buy shares of Robinhood? I guess I'd be less excited about that, because right now, other than the fact that they're trying to let people in IPOs, there's not that much differentiation from any other financial institution that's out there. You have Charles Schwab and TD Ameritrade and Vanguard and Fidelity, and they all essentially do the same thing. And you have competitors like SoFi, who's trying to be all things to all people in the financial industry, is offering that kind of a unique platform where you can get your loan, your investments, your banking, whatever else, all done in one place, and they're going to be a big competitor to Robinhood. So if you want to own the Robinhood company, or own Robinhood as a company, I would be advocating for Robinhood to come up with some other value proposition to its investors than just being another trading platform. I don't know, Joe, what do you think?
Well, we've got to remember that initial public offerings, the whole purpose is to raise money for the company who's selling their own stock. In this case, if Robinhood could pull it off, they wouldn't sell their stock. They would hold on to it and just let the value of their company continue to grow. The fact is that they think there's more value to sell a bunch of their company and come up with some quick cash than it is for them just to hang on to the stock and grow capital through other means. IPO essentially is just another way of gambling because you have no idea exactly what the stock's going to do. Most investors are hoping to catch in on it going hot, and if it pops, it could go from $38 to $150, or it might go from $38 to $12. We don't know. But the fact is that there's usually a quick pop with some of these exciting stocks like Robinhood. But personally, I just don't think I want to own a company that has about the same number of accounts as Charles Schwab, and yet holds about 3% of the assets of Charles Schwab. Not to mention all the bad press that Robinhood has. I've got to be careful about giving advice or telling people what not to do. It's just that I don't see a whole lot of value in Robinhood. It's not money I'd be worth gambling with.
Okay. Well, anybody else?
Just one final thing. I guess if somebody did buy Robinhood this morning, I had it in another tab pulled up. It lost more than 8% today. So hopefully those people have diamond hands.
Right.
We should also point out that none of this is trading advice. So
correct.
Consult a financial advisor before you buy shares of Robinhood. All right, so we'll move on to topic number 2, which is Joe Biden's climate core. So part of Joe Biden's American Jobs Plan calls for $10 billion to establish a new large-scale version of FDR's Civilian Conservation Corps, which the Biden administration will call the Civilian Climate Corps. So FDR had the Civilian Conservation Corps, and Biden will have the Civilian Climate Corps. And he's going to use this to combat the crisis of climate change, environmental and racial injustice, economic inequality. Specifically, the new CCC will be taking on projects such as clearing brush and debris to mitigate wildfires, retrofitting homes for more energy, to be more energy efficient, collaborating with local governments to develop a climate action plan, and distributing aid in the wake of climate disasters. I don't know if anybody's ever read Amity Shley's book called The Forgotten Man, but it essentially talks quite a bit about this. And Joe Biden is trying to channel FDR, so I will channel the Yale philosopher William Gary Sumner when he talked about the Forgotten Man. And basically, he described the situation pretty algebraically, where he said that essentially you have Party A is trying to help Party X, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong if Party B wants to help Party X too. The issue is when Party A and Party B get together and then pass a law that coerces Party C into co-funding the project for X, that's when you start having a problem. And to me, that has this situation written all over it. I don't mind if you want to ride your bike to work to help the environment, or if you want to petition, buy shares of Coca-Cola and petition them to make climate sensitive changes through shareholder resolutions, or buy an electric powered lawnmower or a weed whacker. But I'm not, something like this makes me a little nervous when we're spending $10 billion for 20,000 people to go out and rake the forest. I don't know, Joe, what do you think?
Well, a lot of times historians and politicians look back to the Great Depression, the 16 years of abject poverty thrust upon the United States by the US government as some sort of a success. In reality, it was an abject failure. And one of the things that the Civilian Conservation Corps did was it essentially crowded out employment opportunities from the private sector because the public sector was hiring young able-bodied workers who said, well, why should I go work in the private sector when I'm getting paid hanging out with my buddies here in the CCC? $15 an hour with health benefits and retirement plans and everything else provided by the U.S. government. How are the restaurateurs and the barkeepers and a lot of the folks here locally in Whitefish and Kalispell, how are they going to afford to be able to compete with this federal program? So essentially, our small business friends are going to be paying taxes so that the federal government can steal prospective employees that would keep them viable here in town. So I think it's a ridiculous program, and I think it's going to be at least as unsuccessful as a lot of the initiatives of the Great Depression.
Alex, you want to chime in?
Well, I think that was one of the biggest issues that I've seen so far is right now in the United States, we have employers everywhere who are really, really struggling to find labor. Even when they raise wages, offer, signing bonuses, they still can't find people. And the federal government is trying to create a new program for people who are out of work to get jobs. I don't understand, why they don't just encourage more of these people to re-enter the actual workforce. That being said, in theory, I don't really have too big of an issue with the federal government trying to get through a backlog of projects on public lands, like in national parks, national forests, or paying to do a lot of fire mitigation in the Western United States. I think those are good things. But right now, I think it's really foolish to be depriving employers who are desperate for labor of the very labor they need.
Drew?
It's kind of like that thing you like to say, Dad. An elephant is a mouse created by Congress. Is that how it goes?
Exactly.
This is kind of like this. It's almost like this Rube Goldberg way of achieving something that's fairly simple. I think it's another way that government's just trying to expand itself into all the corners of our lives. I happen to like the idea of environmentalism and sustainability and stewardship, but I'd rather pursue that on my own volition than be funding this program for recent college grads to have all these benefits to clean up trails. I volunteer to pick up trash. I volunteer on my local trail system to maintain that. I'm pretty conscientious about my waste. I just don't think we have to fund this program to reach solve these issues.
Well, I would want to mention one last thing too, is it seems like, at least in this state, I don't know what other states do, but the program would probably be redundant. We in Montana already have a conservation corps called the Montana Conservation Corps. So I don't know if this would be like an overlapping federal program where the MCC and the new CCC are doing the same job, or if they would absorb the MCCs. It's still too early to tell, but I'm hopeful that it's not going to be another redundant federal program to what it seems like our state is already doing well enough on its own.
I guess my question is how do you identify success? What is the success criterion for this program? By the numbers of people who actually enlist to do it, or by the amount of individual behavioral changes that take place among our citizenry? I mean, I've got, between Drew and I, we've got 12 acres of homestead out here that we have wonderful opportunities for people to come and practice environmentalism as we try to raise our crops organically and dispose of our waste responsibly. The reason why more people don't live like I do is because it's hard work. It's a lot easier to make posters and signs and YouTube videos about this stuff than it actually is to live your life in such a way that's going to save the planet. I think it's all political stunts that's taking place here, and it's not going to help our national deficit. Certainly not going to help our economy take it to the next level. And I really don't think we're going to change individual behavior with it.
All right, well, let's, for the second time, let's move on to the last topic, which is cooking. So I guess we're well into summer. For most people, that means they're grilling, they're barbecuing. Joe, what do you like to cook in the summer?
Well, as Drew will tell you, is that I have a real strong affection for my rocket stove, which is this contraption that I made out of bricks. And one of my favorite recipes for cooking on the rocket stove is buffalo hot wings, but instead of using chicken wings, I use the front legs of rabbits.
Hot arms.
Hot arms, yes, buffalo hot arms.
All right.
Doesn't have the same ring, but.
Drew, you wanna?
My wife Kayla and I like to make fish tacos. We that's our summertime favorite dish. We marinate mahi tuna in soy sauce, ginger, and orange juice, and then we make a apple cider vinegar and mango slaw, and put some Spanish rice, beans, and an avocado on a corn tortilla, and it's delicious.
That's pretty fancy. Alex?
So Beth and I, we just got our outdoor patio in the backyard that I'm on right now. We set up like a little outdoor television set that we mounted. And what we've been enjoying doing is in the evenings, we'll put on some baseball. We're Astros fans and and I buy a lot of Snake River Farms Wagyu beef, whether it's hot dogs, steaks, burger meat, whatever. And we've just been throwing a lot of that on the grill and eating and watching baseball. So that's how we've been passing our warm evenings.
Oh, that's some fun.
What about you, Tom?
Yeah, I guess in my case, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, because I'm like, sometimes I'll throw burgers on the grill, sometimes I'll throw chicken, but I don't really have a special summer dish that I make regularly. Usually I'm inside enjoying the air conditioning and staying out of the heat and smoke. So yeah, I have to confess, I've never been I've never really gotten into cooking that much. I can make things okay, but I don't have a one summer dish that we make and I'm particularly good at. So leave it there. All right. Anything else?
No.
All right, that's it.